Testing 1, 2, 3. This is your man, the one and only Voxx, coming live and direct to you from my home source. Just kick back, relax today. And it's been a minute since I've done a storytelling, right? What the story is that I'm going to tell, I don't know, but I'm just going to have some fun with this and we're just going to see how it flows. Plus, what I really want to do too is I want to do a show, give you the story behind the music, right? So this is my own rendition of Behind the Music. All right, welcome back, y'all. This is your man, the one and only Voxx, and you are listening to my digital debut. That's what I'm gonna call it. Though I've been in the game for many years, I haven't given the audience or you guys a chance to really get to know me or the music that I do, or even why I do it. Right? Let me begin by starting out with I do this because I love this. I know many people say it, and many people do mean it, but I assure you, from the moment that I was 3 years old, I knew that this is what I wanted to do with my life. Let me give you an example. My father, he was a drummer, right? And he played drums, and well, that's what drummers do. They play drums, of course, right? I'm kind of nervous. My first take on this, so we're just going to see where it goes, okay? All right. My father was a drummer. My mother was a singer. And they did this circuit back in the day in the 70s and so on throughout Chicago. They actually met a lot of different people. They recorded with a lot of different people. They played live with a lot of different people. So I was literally a tag along everywhere they went, right? Just being a little kid, and having that exposure to so many different genres of music, so many different types of artists. It was pretty amazing. I do recall one in particular. Oh my God, what was the name of that song that this guy did? And he actually lived down the street from us, and it actually was a hit, or maybe it was a hit in my mind. It maybe didn't make it out of Chicago, but the song was Signifying Monkey. I'm trying to remember who that artist was. If you remember who that artist was, put it down. But I recall distinctly meeting this guy, watching him perform. And it was one of those moments where you go, wow, this is really cool. My parents are doing the damn thing, Now, mind you, I couldn't have been more than about 4, 5 years old at the time. So pretty good experience. One of the things about me as a artist and my evolution to being the only Voxx, pardon me, is I used to lay down in my dad's bass drum. So my dad had this kick drum, bass drum with a big pillow in it, and the pillow was to muffle it so that the tone didn't ring, right? And I'm surprised I'm not deaf because of this, but I was that kid that would literally lay on the pillow there while his band was rehearsing, while he was practicing himself. I would just sit there. I didn't watch my dad. I just would do that. Now, granted, there were times when I watched my dad too, because that's how skills are translated. But overall, man, that's me. That's what I've done. Years go by. Christmases come and go. Life changes. Things happen. My mother got remarried, right? And we moved out to a place called Lansing, Illinois, which is right on the border of I think it was Hammond, Indiana, or that wasn't Gary. Maybe it was Gary. I don't recall. I was young. But my mom got remarried, and this guy, Larry, he actually was a guitar player, right? And they didn't know, my dad didn't know him, and he didn't know my dad, so nothing like that went on. But he was a guitar player, and he exposed me to the guitar. I played for a little bit. I must have been, oh gosh, 9, somewhere between 9 and 11, somewhere in there, right? And I played it and I had fun with it. I learned how to create chords. I learned how to make it make funky sounds. One of the songs that I actually used to rehearse to back in the day was a song by Blondie called Rapture, because it had a guitar riff in there that I wanted to be like, you know? I never became that adamant or that good with the guitar. Now, mind you, simultaneously, I was just exposed to my first school that actually had a band, right? And what they did was really interesting because this is fourth grade. Okay, so nine, somewhere in there, fourth grade. What they did was they took us into a room, and in this room, there were multiple instruments sitting on the desk. And it was actually our art room at the time, right? There was like a trombone, there was a clarinet, there was a snare drum, there was a baritone. There were multiple band instruments, right? And I went in, and because my daddy was a drummer, right? I picked up those drumsticks and I started doing cadences right then and there. And they were looking at me like, how does this little kid know how to do cadences, right? And and I had the proper posture. Yes, baby, this is your proper posture, right? Not this. No. This is your proper posture, okay? All right. So I'm doing it, and they were like, wow, we really want to get you in the band. And I was like, hold on a minute, right? So then I went over to the trombone. Now, granted, mind you, I have never touched a trombone a day in my life, right? I didn't know what an embouchure was, so I was overly doing it, right? When you should be, right? So right? And I'm like, how do you know how to do this? I knew how to play the trombone, or at least those few notes of the trombone, just by TV. So my point to all of this is that music has been an integral part of the Only Voxx. I am a musician by far, okay? Let me take you further, later in life of my journey through musicianship. I used to live with my grandmother. This is after my mom and stepdad, divorced and all that good stuff. I lived with my grandmother for a while. My grandmother had a piano, right? And she couldn't play a lick. She tried. She really did. She actually even had the little setups of how to play the piano, and me and my cousins, we would always go in on the piano, right? And she would stop messing with my piano. Yeah, I know what you're doing. Blah 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 blah. Like, okay, mother dear, we gonna chill on that. So I backed off of the piano for a minute. But every time she would go to work and she would be at work, I would sneak in the dining room there, lift up, pull the bench out. And I didn't use the keys because it was actually a diagram that would sit along the keys where you knew what notes were where and what chords to play, right? This is way before the iPad or anything like that. So it was really ancient, I should say, right? Well, simple, I'll say. So I would just play. Of course, just like everyone else, I started off with Mary Had a Little Lamb, C, D, E, right? Real simple stuff. And it just progressed from there. I didn't at that time know how to actually read the sheet music for the piano to understanding left hand and right hand, your bass and your treble clef. Though when I was in band, I did have some experience with that for my snare drums, right? It was just a bass clef. So you got ta, ta, ti, ti, ta, ti, 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 ta, 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 right? Easy stuff. So anyway, let me get back to the point. So I go in and I'm playing, I'm just playing, having a good old time. And then my grandmother's, I guess it would be her stepson, because her boyfriend at the time had a son that lived with us. He comes tearing into the dining room and says, hey, Lonnie, Mother Dear's coming. You better get off that piano. She gonna whoop your ass, right? So I stopped doing what I'm doing immediately because I didn't want to get in trouble. I put everything down, jumped off, pushed back. And when I turned around and looked up, I was like, uh-oh, guess who was there standing right there? She was like, no, sit down and play. So I sat down and I just started playing. And it was random playing, but it actually made sense, right? From that point, I knew that there was something special about this instrument in me, right? And at that same time was when breakdancing and stuff was coming about, Rapper's Delight, all of these types of things, right? So I got into that whole hip hop thing, and I wanted to get on the floor and doing my damn thing, right? You know, that's actually when I came up with my first stage name. It was Deuce, Dous, Do Us. Couldn't spell worth a shit, but the whole point was it was a part of my musical journey, right? So breakdancing comes about, and then Run DMC took off, right? Oh my God, that was a moment for me. Run DMC. I mean, they have the DJ, Jam Master Jay doing his thing. Run, and DMC. Man, they was doing their damn thing, and they were the epitome of go get it mentality. I mean, they was cool. They didn't cuss in their rhymes. They were a little hardcore for the time. Yeah, they talked about smoking weed. I think it was like one track, but that was about it. And during that same time period, you had artists like LL Cool J come out of the woodworks, right? And LL was like that solo warrior, go get 'em. Then breakdancing for me changed over to that rap thing because there was an electrifying pull that the persona of seeing him do his thing just came to light, right? And I was like, yeah, I can do this. So that's when I began my actual writing processes, right? And it was definitely a good time to learn how to do these things because you could make many mistakes and you just make mistakes. That's how you get better, right? So I learned how to write raps. I went from that A, B, C to started learning how to use facsimiles, to start learning how to use synonyms, learning how to make words actually have a cadence similar to my drumming days of ta, ta, ti, ti, ta, right? I figured out how to put all of those things together. So now all of this is happening. I'm moving into the whole DJ realm. I'm writing. Oh my God, let me throw this story in here. My mom comes down from the Northwest or from Alaska at the time, right? And my favorite music store was called Music World. They had this Dr. Rhythm 110 Roland drum machine. It wasn't a very expensive drum machine, but it was one of the first drum machines, right? That it was like entry level, right? And I think the thing cost maybe $150 at the time, but at the time that was a lot of money for a device. My mom came down, for that Christmas, and she got me that drum machine, right? And it taught me how to place my notes. From 2/4 timing to 4/4 timing with those 16 beats within a measure, my quarter notes. I mean, it literally taught me how to digitally see and place those drum tracks or drum sounds, right? So it was very challenging because it was a first, right? Not many people knew how to program drum machines, right? And I was hell bent on doing it. So the year that I got the drum machine, that was like a Christmas. And then the following year, we had a family reunion down in Lexington, Mississippi. My Aunt Judy, her husband Tyrone, my cousin Jerry, Jamie, and I believe Lil Tyrone, right? We all jumped in their van. They had one of those big old school custom vans, right? We jumped in the van and we're driving down to Mississippi. Do you know I brought my little drum machine, and because it was battery operated, I had my little headphones in at the time. I was laying on the floor, everybody strapped in their seat. I'm laying on the floor, I'm doing beats. And that actually started the pattern of where I am today with, no matter what's going on around me, I'm able to isolate myself and to create something from nothing built of sound. So, yeah, that was a great trip. We went down there, had our family reunion, and I got to meet a lot of relatives that honestly I never knew existed. And I would keep disappearing back to the van. And people was like, why do you keep disappearing back? No, understand, I'm only like, no, God, 13, 14, 15 years old, somewhere in there, right? And like, why do you keep disappearing back? You back there smoking weed, blah, 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 blah. I didn't have a clue what weed was. Well, I knew what it was. It just wasn't my thing at the time, right? At the time. I'll get back to that. But I went back to the van and I'm sitting there programming. And that really just set me on a course to know that music is one of the things that drives me, that gives me fulfillment. And to be honest with you, if I recall correctly, that was the first time I had that moment. What's the best way I could describe this moment? It's a moment of being in the zone. There was a movie, The Soul, that explained that really well. I got in the zone for the first time, and what it did, it was like an excitement that I had created this beat, this sound that didn't exist before from my mind. It gave me a feeling of pride, accomplishment, and confidence. It was one of the best feelings I'd ever had. And I tell you what, I think that was that dopamine hit that got me really, really addicted to that creative process. I'm telling you, I just love music so much, right? So fast forward from ages 13, 14, somewhere in there, um, we had moved, or my mother had gotten a job in Seattle, right? And I wanted to be with my mom again, right? Because I was with my grandma at the time, right? So I moved out to Seattle with my cousin Bertha. Oh my God, I love that lady. God rest her soul. I miss you, Bert. All right. Moved out there with my cousin Bert, and she was not only my cousin, but she was like my second mother. And now I know for a fact she's my guardian angel. There's no way around that. But when I moved there, she was really into being a listener, an avid fan of music. So she exposed me to multiple genres. I mean, yeah, I was already into the whole R&B thing, but she actually showed me what like smooth jazz was. She actually showed me this new version of electronic R&B that could only be explained as the Minneapolis sound. That was the first time I heard 7779311. Woo, and definitely um, it really changed my path. Now, my cousin Bertha had a son. His name's Clifton. Uh, we called him Pookie. Every family got a Pookie. But anyway, Pookie was best friends with this kid, K-Love, Mark, Pookie, and DJ Eugenius, right? They put together this group called Criminal Nation. And I mean, I really look up to these guys. I mean, they were like my big cousins or whatever, I mean, because my cousin Pookie was there, and every time the Mark and these guys would do little basketball tournaments and stuff, it was just like I really looked up to these guys, and watching them do things over the years would have been like, well, it was the best thing, right? I really wanted to work with them, but destiny didn't have it that way, right? Everybody went their separate ways. Everybody started doing their own things. Now, here we go. It is, I want to say like 92, right? I put together a series of songs, right? My very, very first actual professional recorded song in, oh God, it wasn't 92. It was actually 1990, 91. It was called Twilight's On. And of course, I wrote the song watching an episode of Twilight Zone, right? And the song actually was three different stories in one, and they told the story of that urban youth going through shit, right? And it actually caught the ear of one of my then coworkers, who was doing some recording, Mr. Tyrone Bradley. And he was a recording artist himself. He had literally just come out here or out to Seattle from New York. He still had his real New York accent and all of that. And his homeboy Joe, really cool dude. We became best friends. And when he launched his label, I was one of the first producers slash artists on that label. We did many shows together, many of those pop up auditions. Just paying the cost to be the boss. It's a part of the journey. And I dropped my very very first tape. Right, tells you my age. In '92, it was called Question Authority. And the album itself was centered around questioning the powers that be. It actually told stories or gave, I guess you would say, a sense of confidence for people to, hey, you don't have to sit down and take it from the man. You can stick it to the man. That was the whole thing behind the whole question authority thing. Um, and yeah, I just began putting stuff together that way, um, being real political, doing my damnedest because I could see the way things were going at the time. Yes, I love me some gangster rap. I love my NWA, DOC, Doc Dre. I mean, these cats, they produce, they put stuff together easy. I mean, all of these cats, they wrote well, they just put stuff together that really was admirable, that made me say, you know what, I can do this, right? But for me personally, as an artist, I never really went down that path of being a gangster because real talk, the tongue is mightier than the sword could ever be. Life and death live within the tongue. That has always been my position, right? So I never wanted to be that person to talk about killing each other, doing drugs, as recreation. Um, well, I did have a couple of songs where I was a little derogatory toward females, but in life, learning, and retrospect, um, I did very few of them, and that's not something I'm very proud of. And I'll probably burn all of those from my catalog now that I'm thinking about it. Um, but okay, so now we've done that. We've recorded. We've put all of these things together. Life changes. I start having children of my own, um, and my recording starts to back off. I start to do an album every 2.5, 3 years because realistically, at the time, there wasn't internet, so you didn't really have to be present every 15 minutes, right? Because yeah, you didn't have to be present. People heard what you did, they either respected it or rejected it. So you had time to really be creative with your thought processes and your art, right? And you could try different things. So I continued to grow, got better equipment, went through the entire gamut of every single bad actor in the recording industry you could ever imagine. I've met the Puffies. I've met the Suge Knights. I've seen a lot of these guys in action, and one of the things that I truly believe, it's not a downfall. It's actually something that I have upheld, and that has been I would never stoop to certain levels to gain. For example, I would never in a million years trade in any of my family for success in any shape, form, or fashion. That's just not how I'm built, though I've seen others do it. I'm not willing to compromise that by any means. Um, did it make for me missing opportunities to really be out there? Absolutely, because that's what the game is. The game is divide and conquer. If you're a talented individual, not only will will the industry itself try to divide you from your most precious of morals, but it will try to divide you from your team that brought you to that point. It will try to divide you from your family that upheld you to get to that point, right? So without making those compromises, my road has definitely been long and hard fought, hard pressed in order to showcase what I've done and who I am, right? So, um, gosh, there's been, I forgot where I left off at, but let's bring us to today. Today, music has changed once more. The CD has gone away. Vinyls are starting to make a comeback. However, digital distribution, I learned that early on, and Prince, my idol, yes, my idol Prince, gave me the thought processes of what digital streaming would become. Um, Literally, it has become a form of slavery for artists. Think about this. I mean, and I fell into the trap too because you figure, oh, I can put this music right next to Beyonce, Jay-Z, R. Kelly, and it's gonna pop because it's next to these guys. But the way the system is set up, the system was set up so that you spent all of your time, your money, and your resources into more so the marketing of it, paying for streams rather than getting a direct connection with your fans, right? I've always been about the people. So, what I've done in recent years, in the last, I'll say 3 years to be exact, is I'm literally pulled my music from all of the services. Yes, a few of the services still have some of my older stuff out there. But as an independent artist, I believe being direct to the consumer is the salvation, right? And with that direct to consumer, I have a level of customization to my product. For example, I can record a song today, right? And let's say 6 months down the line, I get an opportunity to place this song into a commercial. Well, because I am direct to consumer and I actually control the delivery, the placement, the pricing in places where people can find my product, I have the ability to change lyrics, to even change the beat, but keep the same song, right? There's a new level of control that artists have never had before. Now, with this whole AI thing, let me tell you what. Now, having a deeply embedded musical background and seeing all of the wonderful things that AI can do, I personally feel I am absolutely unstoppable and untouchable, and there's nothing that I cannot do. So I consider myself to be the AI god, quote unquote, quote that shit again, right? Um, Now, understand with AI too, AI cannot create original things, right? I know this. I recognize it. I mean, my work history in itself, I've been in the tech field for many years. AI can only learn what we humans do. It can only learn what we do. It can't say, oh, let me try this to here to create something new. It can only mimic what has been done or enhance what has been done, but not create something different. And the thing I really do pride myself on is I'm always trying to do different shit. I mean, everybody's going right, I'll go left. Everybody's going left, I'll go right. Yes, I can do what everybody else does, but does that make me an individual? No, it makes me a part of the pack. And I don't want to be a part of the pack because there is only one, the only Voxx. Okay. Now, let me break down my name. My name is Voxx, Voxx, right? That is Latin for voices. I know it's used in recording studios, recording scenarios, broadcasts for reference to the actual voice that you hear, right? But the way that I define it as being a producer, with being a producer, and now that AI is here and I can use voices as an actual instrument, um, multiple voices are okay. They're instruments. The voice is an instrument. It always has been, but now you have the ability to use it like MIDI to assign it to a key. I mean, yes, sampling has been there, but it's just so different with this whole AI thing. I can conceive a beat, right? And even though I am not the best of singer, though I'll try from time to time, I'm not the best of a rapper, though I'll try from time to time. I can utilize the AI voice to absolutely perfectly fit the pitch, the key, the tone of delivery. Um, and the mistake that a lot of people make with the whole AI voice thing, and they'll put their songs together, and it's great to be a part of Suno, UDO, or any other group, right? It's great to be a part of that. But the problem that I see a lot of people make, or mistake that I see a lot of people make, is they will just settle for what the AI gives them. For example, some people who don't necessarily have the background of musicianship don't fully understand how lyrics should flow. They don't fully understand that there's a cadence to making the lyrics fit with the tone of the song. They make the mistake of thinking just the words will being on beat gives a connection. They've never experienced that moment that we talked about earlier, that moment of being in the zone, right? Um, because they just don't have that experience yet. Now, over time, it will come, but they may not have the ability to make it sound human. So, what I've found and what I've seen happen time and time again for many different people, many different artists in whatever genre of AI music, is it sounds robotic, right? Now, for myself, I noticed that right off the bat because my history through experimentation with technology and music and MIDI to be exact, um, it's got to sound a certain way. So for me as an artist, um, and being from that era of MIDI, I always paid close attention to did the instrumentation sound like a live band or like someone was playing it. So with MIDI, I would always spend hours and my buddy, my DJ homeboy, Caliber X, aka Los Rhymes, could attest to this. I would literally, we would build a song, right? He'd do a scratch in, we'd drop a sample, hook the beat up and everything. I would literally spend at least anywhere from, I'm taking a wild stab here, 4 hours to a day, right? To meticulously moving every single note. Yes, I could have quantized. Yes, I could have randomized, but it wasn't the same. I would meticulously move every hi-hat. I would move every snare, a spot this way, that way. Every kick would have a little bit more velocity or less velocity. And again, yes, you can randomize that, but I would pay that level of attention. So fast forward. Now we're in the AI universe and I'm throwing shade. I'm sorry. I heard that Timbaland shit, right? Where he threw out this ta talk to me, titty talk to me, whatever her name is, right? Um, now, Timbo does some of the dopest beats I could have ever imagined. I mean, when I first heard the guy, I was like, wow, this guy's fucking dope. I wish I could do shit like that, right? But anyway, let's get back to subject. I heard that and it was actually embarrassing for myself. And I know that sounds weird because I had nothing to do with the project, right? But I felt kind of embarrassed that someone with that great of a history would miss some of the key factors within AI. It literally sounded dead. It sounded like uh, a robot, or if you're a Star Trek fan, it sounded and it felt like talking to a Borg, right? And music doesn't have to be straight lines. It can bend, it can twist, it can jump, it can sink, it can slide, right? So, with that being said, me in this AI thing, I truly believe and know for a fact that I am that AI God. There's nothing built new under the sun, and AI proves that because literally I can cross into every genre I choose to. I can make it sound like a human. I can make it feel like a live band. And many people that hear my music and interact with it, they can't tell it's AI. And I think a big part of that is due to my history as a musician, as someone that really pays attention to those details. And when I get in that zone, nothing can fuck with me. Okay, so you got a lot of history on me today. Um, I'm going to be doing a show where I'm going to showcase my music. And I really want people to come check it out. It'll be a live show. I don't have an exact date yet, but I will definitely keep you guys posted. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, in this show, what's going to happen is I'll actually give you a history of each song that I play. We'll actually have a live chat back and forth. You'll get to actually win T-shirts and maybe even some cash prizes. You never know. All right. But I'm trying to do things a little bit different than everybody else because my whole thing is to grow not only what I do, not in a selfish way, but in a way that benefits you, the listener. I don't want you to hear stuff or feel things that are unfair to you, to your moral compass, to what your belief system is. I don't know what that is, but I do know that I want to put out something that builds you, right? Something that entertains you because we all deserve a time to let down our hair, but we don't have to hurt each other in the process, all right? And this has been your man, your man. I always say that. This has been your man, not your boy. That's old shit, right? I'm your man, the one, the only Voxx. And I will talk to you soon with more details about this showcase show. Keep an ear out for the advertisements because I'm going to sneak them in songs here and there. All right. Peace, love, and I will holla at you soon. One.